We are officially just under 2 weeks until WrestleMania 40, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. And this is the Squared Circle Radio, your one-stop shop for all things WrestleMania. We have a lot to cover and a lot to talk about, but as you can tell, Chris Belcher is not with me today. It's just me, the young buck, Andy York, holding down the fort, but I am not alone. As you can tell, we have two very, very special guests that are with us. But make sure that you follow us on all social media. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends as we get closer and closer to WrestleMania 40. But first, let me introduce our first guest. You know him from the MCWF. We like to call him the man of 1,000 podcasts because this man has several podcasts that you need to go check out. We'll have him plugged towards the end. But Tyler Peters, who and I both agree that Mayhem is 10 times better than Warzone will ever be. Tyler Peters, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Andy. It's great to join y'all. And yeah, Mayhem is great. I'm going to get in trouble, though, since Chris is not here. And then I'll say Warzone is doing well. We got to take our shots, Chris. You're not here, so you're fair game, buddy. We love you.
Exactly.
It's tough love.
Exactly. What is it? While the cat's away, the mice will play. So we're just gonna run him in the ground as much as we can before he gets back. But we are not alone, as you can tell. Yeah, exactly. We are not alone, as you can tell. I can say this with 1,000% confidence. The prettiest guest we're ever going to have here on Squared Circle Radio. My wonderful, beautiful wife, Catie, has joined us. Catie, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Anything for you. That's just the kind of person I am. Whatever my husband likes, I'm in for too.
Well, you can't get better than wrestling. WrestleMania 40 is right around the corner. One of the wildest builds to WrestleMania of all time. We are here to talk about it. We are here to break everything down. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump into it. I really wanted to have Catie on this week because we are, like I said, just under 2 weeks until WrestleMania. And she is not a hardcore fan like Tyler and myself are. She is not necessarily watching week to week, but she is keeping up with it. We're heading into WrestleMania. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, Catie, real quick on what you think about WrestleMania 40 and how everything is going, from The Rock showing up just a couple months ago to the whole We Want Cody movement, all of that. Just kind of get your opinion on everything.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty partial to whatever your opinion is because I haven't been around quite as long in the wrestling scene or as a fan, but since getting married, I've enjoyed watching it, gained more appreciation along the way. I can say it's kind of fun seeing someone like The Rock show up because for someone like me, who's not too in the scene, that's like a familiar face, a familiar name. It's kind of fun to see him play a heel using some good vocab.
Insider terminology. Look at that.
Look at that.
There you go.
Kind of fun to see him with his character and just kind of the dynamic between him and Roman and them being actual family and then like having drama in the ring. It's kind of fun to see. So I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I think, Tyler, it's very interesting when we talk about WrestleMania. I think all the other pay-per-views throughout the year are geared towards the common hardcore-ish wrestling fan. But WrestleMania is geared towards bringing in the casual viewer for the big-time show. So I think it's very important to kind of get a perspective of somebody who's not as in-depth into it as we are.
Oh, you're so correct. And I love hearing her perspective. And I'll tell you, that's the thing. The Rock with WrestleMania 40 had been in Philadelphia. You bring some of the Hollywood feel to it, to where people may not know him as a wrestler, like you're saying, the casual fan, but they know who The Rock is. They know who John Cena is. They know some of these people. And it's very interesting that you can hook some people to go where, hey, listen, I'm not a wrestling fan, but WrestleMania's got The Rock, and I'm going to tune in. And I've been hearing about Roman Reigns. He's a relative of The Rock. So, I mean, just common sense questions, like she was saying, makes you want to watch even professional wrestling. But thank God we are converting more people. I mean, that just makes me feel good.
Yeah,
it's the cult of Square Circle Radio to steal from somebody else. I may get in trouble, but anyways, I love it. I love how people don't have to love wrestling, but this is the time of the year. It's like, hey, we're going to tune in. This is interesting. It's got my attention peaked, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think WrestleMania is a lot of people's first introduction into the wrestling world. And if it's not great, then I think wrestling suffers for it big time. But the last couple of years, WrestleMania has really over delivered in a lot of ways, except for the main event last year. But I'm leaving that in the past because we're looking to WrestleMania 40. I did want to get your thoughts, Catie, though, about because we talked about this. You obviously were in the room the night The Rock returned and the whole Cody handshake and everything like that, and you saw my reaction to it. But as a casual viewer, kind of looking at the "We Want Cody" movement and everything like that, what did that surprise you that it seemed like WWE kind of did a pivot, kind of changed plans, or do you think this was the plan from the beginning, or what are your thoughts on it?
Um, I mean, even though I am a casual fan, I do watch from time to time. I keep up on the dramas, the storylines, and it was very surprising. I mean, you can only kind of speculate that they pivoted. They could just be masterminds and they had this in the cards the whole time. But it definitely did seem like the crowd reaction and the fan base reaction pushed them a certain way. And I kind of found it even more entertaining to see like such a hard pushback and kind of speculate like, ooh, did we push them? Did they move? Did they change their plan? Like it kind of just is more of the draw. Even for the casual fan, it's like, ooh, look at what's trending on Twitter now. Like, what's going on? What's the tea?
Yeah. No, that's completely fair, especially after all the other reasons why WWE has kind of trended this year for not great reasons. It's a great way to bring a lot of people back into it and to get their viewpoint. Tyler, I did have a question for you. I want to get your take on this because I kind of feel
Okay.
this way, so I wanted to get your perspective if you feel the same way. But obviously, we know since WrestleMania has moved to 2 nights the last couple of years, WrestleMania Night 2 main event has always seemed like the biggest main event. It seems like the biggest main event possible. 37 was Edge and Daniel Bryan versus Roman, and 38 was Brock Roman. Last year, Cody Roman. Do you feel like this is the first year where night 1, the main event, kind of overshadows what's going to take place night 2?
I feel like I can see everybody's point where it might overshadow, but I think Cody and Roman's story is so huge. I mean, take The Rock into consideration. Yes, it's mainstream. He's a big star, not only in wrestling, but obviously Hollywood. However, the tag team match, as cool as the concept is, I feel like you're not only the hardcore WWE fans are fans of just Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns, or even the casual fans will start understanding. Like Catie was saying, you follow enough of the storylines, you grasp the significance of if Cody can finish his story. What and I know Andy wants to see it. And heck, as much as I like Roman Reigns, I want to see it. They're convincing me, so that's a good thing. And you're right, WWE needs a lot of positives right now. If you've been following the news, and this has been great though. They're trying to make WrestleMania bigger and better than ever. They've tried to get Stallone involved with Philadelphia. I hope they do. I would love to see Stallone. Could you imagine him doing even a video or just appearing during a Rock Cody or anything? I mean, that would seal it for me. Let's just play the Rocky music. Why not?
We just need the montage of Rock and Roman just running up the steps in Philly, just to
We
the music
do.
with him at the top of the steps. That'd be fantastic.
Oh, I would love it. But this is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this kind of conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
These two need their own show because I love hearing a casual wrestling fan, and I mean it, a guy that's in tune with wrestling. So I know I'm sucking up. They didn't have to pay me to say it. I'm being honest. It's good stuff. Chris, see what you miss. I understand family time's more
exactly.
important, but we're taking advantage. You see
Right.
what the
Well,
fun you were missing. Yeah,
you can make family time a wrestling thing like we do, so it all works. It
there
all
you
works
go.
together. We saw so. As you can tell by the sun beaming through my window and the sun beaming through Tyler's window, we are not recording this on Monday night like we normally do during Raw. We're recording this ahead of schedule because of some scheduling conflict. So if things change Monday, if we're a little out of the loop on this week's episode, just a little bit, bear with us as we kind of are getting this out as quickly as we can. But this past Friday, we saw the face-to-face with Cody and Roman, and they kind of cut their promos back and forth. nothing really crazy, I don't think, in the promo, just kind of the same spiel that both guys have been going through. But at the end of the night, we saw basically Roman and Cody said they were going to show up alone. Obviously, Roman snapped his fingers as music started playing. Jimmy and Solo jumped the barricade, but then Cody had Jay and Seth there with him at the same time. So a la very Avengers-esque, getting the group together to face the big baddie. But there was a lot of teasing this time, more than in recent memory, of a possible Seth Rollins turn on Cody Rhodes. Tyler, I wanted to get your takes on it first, and then we'll go to Catie. Do you think there is do you think there will be a turn? And if there is, will it actually make sense for Seth to turn here?
That's a great question. A lot of people are speculating. Could it be The Rock? Could it be Seth Rollins? It would make sense because they were in the Shield together. There's history with Roman and Seth. However, the way that Roman Reigns and the Bloodline have been so dominating, I feel like I'm not sure if I want to see a Seth turn, just due to having Drew McIntyre being more the heelish character. I think if you're going to have a title matchup the next night, then it's not going to make a lot of sense. Now, eventually down the road, but it's all very fascinating because, like you said, anything can change from now until Monday Night Raw or the next Friday night leading into WrestleMania, maybe not till night 1 or night 2 of Mania. So it's a compelling time, to say the least. So I'm going to leave it to you all. I can see it happening, but does it fit? I'm not so sure, I guess, is my response. I know it's a little perplexed because I'm a little confused in a good way about what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Katie, what do you think?
I don't really think it makes sense for that. They're building up such a story, not Cody's story, but they are building up such a story of like the, groups, like Rock, Roman, the Bloodline, and Cody and Seth. Like, why would they build it up so much? Just be like, nope, we're not doing this. Actually, Seth's gonna turn. You didn't see it coming. Like, It doesn't make sense just from my perspective.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get this reference, but Tyler will. That seems like a very Vince Russo thing to do, is just swerve just for swerve's sake, and that doesn't really
swerve, bro.
Swerve, yeah.
Hey, somebody's going to be in a poll. Somebody's relative will be on a poll. That'll be a Vince Russo.
We'll put Jay on a poll and we'll go from there. Or put Pharaoh. We'll put Pharaoh on a poll, and winner gets Pharaoh.
Pharaoh. Yeah, I can see it. I'm not making sense because, no offense to Vince Russo, that not only is his booking, but his ideas now are flowing in my head, and that's why I can't talk now. I'm all over the place.
I don't know if it's a good thing to take inspiration after Vince Russo or not. Depends on the year that we'll talk about. But let's pivot a little bit. Let's move on from the main events of night 1 and night 2. Let's look at the 2 women's matches, at least for right now, the 2 women's titles that are up for grabs. Let's start with Rhea and Becky. Now, for those that don't know, Catie is a huge Becky fan. Becky is part of the reason why Catie is a wrestling fan. I know obviously you haven't been watching week to week, so you haven't really been keeping up with the story, if there kind of even is a story for Becky Rhea going into WrestleMania. But kind of what are your thoughts about the matchup between Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley? Arguably 2 of the biggest women's stars on the roster, 2 of the biggest women's stars in the world.
I do love me some Becky, the man. I should have worn my man shirt. I do love her, although like Rhea's got some fire to her at times. Andy and I were talking the other day about it. Like, I don't have the Rolodex of all the things that have happened, all the stories that have happened, but I do remember back to like the Rumble when Rhea won, just like the look in her eyes and like the determination, the way she won that match. Like, that's a moment for a novice fan that I'm like, oh yeah, look at her go. So if there were a moment like that in that match, I would be fine if Rhea retained and if she like had that fierce like determination in her again, because she is like, a boss. Like, she's a pretty dominant, strong woman out there in the WWE. But I feel like at times it's kind of just the show, like, oh yeah, there's mommy, there's that, but she doesn't have that like ownership of her own story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think because I completely agree in a lot of ways. Of like, I feel like being a part of Judgment Day helped her a lot in the beginning, but now I feel like it's kind of holding her back in a lot of ways. Tyler, what are your thoughts? Do you, because that's one of my questions too, is it feels like Rhea had a lot of steam going into the Rumble last year, going into Mania after she beat Charlotte in one of the best matches of the weekend. Just a fantastic match between those two. And then it seemed like she didn't do a whole lot within the past year, defending it wise. Do you feel like she's lost a lot of steam going into WrestleMania, or do you feel like basically as soon as the bell rings WrestleMania 40, we'll forget about all of that and mommy's back, we're all on the Rhea Ripley train heading forward?
I think it's just all part of her story. I think when that bell rings, we're going to get a spectacular matchup. I like both these ladies. Katie makes a great point. I love Becky Lynch too, but I also am a fan of Rhea Ripley. So this is another dream match that everybody's going to see happening. And we're not getting to predictions yet, but it's going to be very interesting who I'm picking. However, I don't know that Judgment Day, it is an act, but I think it's helped her. And I do understand people's other point of view where they feel like it held her back a little bit, but I
Mhm.
think it's all part of the storytelling. And I cannot compliment Triple H and his team enough because at first it took a little time. I'm like, okay, where are we going? But patience is a virtue, and we're finally starting to understand why these storylines are getting better, and I feel like they're even getting more grander. Hence WrestleMania. See what I did there? That was a
Yeah, I
pathetic
did.
attempt.
That was
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
No, it
pathetic.
worked. It worked.
Yeah.
I think we all have had to learn in the Triple H era that nothing is going to happen quick. Everything is going to be a
Right.
slow build, a slow burn, which in a lot of cases is really good. But we're learning that very quickly. But Judgment Day has changed a lot. Me and Chris were in the building WrestleMania 38 when they technically formed during the AJ Styles Edge match, and it did not get off to a great start. But once they turned on Edge, it seemed like they have completely taken Monday Night Raw over and are killing it. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. Let's look at the other women's match. Bayley versus EO. Damage Control officially kicking Bayley out a couple weeks ago. Dakota Kai turning her allegiance. I love the dynamic between Naomi and Bianca after the whole Bayley thing because Naomi wasn't here for Bayley's heel turn and going through all of that, so she hadn't experienced it, but Bianca did a lot of it. Do you feel, Tyler, like this match has definitely taken the back seat in WrestleMania this year because it doesn't feel like it's at the forefront like the Becky Rhea or the Roman Cody, even though Bayley did win the Rumble. She wasn't even at the press conference, the big press conference they did when all this kind of broke loose. Do you feel like this is taking the back seat to a lot of things happening this year?
Sadly, I do. I would never just openly be that critical, but I got to give CM Punk a lot of credit. He said, "Why are we not talking about Bayley enough? She didn't
Mm-hmm.
win the Rumble match." He even stated it. He felt bad as one of her, fellow wrestlers. And Bayley is so worthy and deserving. I've said this on other podcasts, and I can't wait to hear your guys' opinion about it. But Bayley, to me, as much as I respect Io Sky and what she's brought to the table and with the Damage Control storyline, I feel like Bayley has waited. She's put people over. She formed this group. We saw it at SummerSlam in Nashville. And for them to make the turn, I feel like Bayley has arrived and I don't mean as far as wrestling. I mean, this is another one of her moments to
Mm-hmm.
progress in her career. And I feel like, hey, Bayley deserves more respect. I like Rhea and Becky, but let's not forget who broke in with Becky. It was Bayley,
Yeah.
Charlotte. It was that class of women, and it's what helped elevate Rhea Ripley and Io Sky for the WWE audience, for stateside. I mean, with all due respect to Japan, I know there's a lot of great talent. Obviously, we're seeing it in all the promotions, but I do feel like Bayley's got slotted. Whether that's maybe meant to throw us off a little bit, it could be, knowing it's wrestling. I think this is going to steal the show, though. Bayley and Io Sky with their history and what they can do in that ring, I'm excited for.
Katie, what do you think?
I think it does take a back seat a little bit. We were at SummerSlam in Nashville. I think that was my first
Mm-hmm.
pay-per-view live going in person. It was awesome. I had no idea who Bayley was. Whenever she came out and returned, Andy was losing his mind. I'm like, Who is she? But I've come to know her, and I do like her a lot. At first, I was like, she's a little overrated. Everyone was really excited when she got back. But I have come to really like her, and it is a little disappointing that, like, Becky Rhea is kind of taking the front seat, and like this match has kind of been overshadowed a little bit. But like Tyler said, I think it will be a fun match. Like once it starts, everyone's going to be into it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think we all are just begging for the 2015 NXT Bayley era again, because that was the greatest version of Bayley of all time, probably the greatest women's match of all time between her and Sasha. And we just haven't gotten that yet on the main roster. So I think this is a great way to kick that off. But it'll be very interesting to see what happens at WrestleMania 40. Another match that got confirmed a couple weeks ago that has started to heat up wildly this past Friday night on SmackDown is LA Knight versus AJ Styles. And I don't know about you, Tyler, but I got some Attitude Era old school feels with LA Knight rolling up to AJ Styles' house with police cam footage of him just beating the crap out of AJ on his front yard and getting arrested. I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, me too. It feels personal. A lot of these feuds just get cast aside, and that's why as fans, it doesn't resonate with us. But you're right. Attitude Era, remember Austin, Shawn Michaels, Triple H going to Randy Orton's house, even after the Attitude Era, shades of it then. And it makes it feel like these guys don't like each other. It's easy to say it in promos and see it on TV, but for LA Knight to go to AJ Styles' house and then to see his wife, I think it was, outside the house, just adds a realism to it that makes wrestling so great. Like if you're watching a TV show, you want to believe it. These guys have an issue. And for me, I thought LA Knight was more the baby face, but I want to ask you two this. Was that not a little hillish? Maybe they're turning AJ a little bit. I don't know. It's very unique, interesting how they develop these personalities.
Yeah, I got the sense of, and I'll let Catie kind of answer too, but I get the sense of like LA Knight is the Steve Austin in this case of it's just him being him and people are going to love it. Him just rolling up to AJ's house, just kicking the front door in, beating the crap out of him. It's hard not to like LA Knight, especially with, because the thing about LA Knight that's great, especially in this segment, is his trash talking just randomly on the fly as he's beating up AJ Styles. He gets a lot of criticism for taking a lot of things from The Rock and from Austin, but they work for a reason. And I think that's part of it. Catie, what do you think?
I did not see the segment you guys are even talking about.
I'll show it to you later.
But as far as LA Knight in general, I do just love his personality. I don't care to categorize him. Are you heel? Are you babyface? I don't really care. I don't even care what the story is. I just find him entertaining. Like, I love seeing, like you said, his trash talk. When he just gets going, like, his personality just comes out organically. It is so entertaining to watch him and give it, yeah.
I mean, I
there you go.
Agree. I did want to ask though, because me and Chris have talked about this extensively, that it seems like AJ Styles gets put in these feuds to put people over, and he's older in his career, he's up in his career, and that's kind of the point he is at. But Tyler, let me ask you, who do you think needs the win more at WrestleMania? Do you think it's AJ or do you think it's LA Knight?
To me, it's not as simple. I mean, I would think that LA Knight does need a win, and AJ could elevate, to your point. But I also look at, when's the last time AJ's won? So they both really need to win. That's what makes it a little more complex. And I love how Catie said, hey, forget the heel and babyface scenario. I appreciate that passion. It was great. That's why I was laughing. I'm like, she said, hey, I don't care what Tyler thinks because I said so. And I love it. You brought some attitude there. It was great. And I just wanted to add that, boy, I need to get on their diet because AJ looks, I mean, he's always been in great shape, but his arms, I mean, the guy's going to rip you apart. I mean, I'm like, dang, I need whatever they're taking. My God.
Apparently, it's just you get injured and then come back from injury looking 10 times bigger because AJ, Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, when you did it, Drew McIntyre, all of these guys look jacked when they come back. I think it's something in the water or the steroid they're taking, but that's anything.
It must be.
It must be. One other match we're going to talk about that's not been confirmed, but it was basically teased and confirmed almost last night on SmackDown. It looks like we are getting some version again this year at WrestleMania of Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. probably the most underrated match at Mania last year. The match I had the most fun watching because it was just so stupid in every way, from Dom's entrance to Ray coming out with the Eddie tribute, and all of that was just fantastic. Are you guys excited about this again this year? Seeing this again? And what do you think is going to happen when these two guys get back in the ring?
Go ahead, Tyler.
I'll let Catie go ahead.
Okay. Similar to like an LA Knight or bringing Rock from a novice again. Dom is just so funny. Like, just send him out there and let him get whooped. Like, honestly, that is the best thing for like the wide audience. Is just like, if he goes out there and gets beat down by Ray, everyone's gonna have a great time. Like, it just be funny. He's out there for comic relief, I feel like.
Makes sense. Tyler, what do you think?
I'm all for it. Dominic has just reinvented himself. You can see the talent not only being second generation, but it's helped to break away from Ray and be this heel persona and be a little bit like Eddie Guerrero and be around Judgment Day. It's pairing him with Rhea has brought the best out of not only Rhea, but Dominic himself. I believe Bad Bunny helped out Ray, handing him, what was it, cups or something? I'm losing it probably, but it's something. And then him even throwing the drink in his sister's face. I mean, that was great because made you loathe him even more. Michael Cole is so great too, because his disdain for, he's like, get him, he's cheering on, kind of like JR against Triple H going back to when he feuded with Stone Cold. Jim Ross said, I hate that guy. I can't repeat what he was saying. He couldn't stand him. But to your all's point, I mean, Dominic has just been tremendous. Ray's a legend for a reason. And I think we've got to get a match because he helped Escobar, like you said, Andy, and it's setting up. There's some unfinished business. Maybe Dominic gets some of his redemption since Ray got his win last year.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the last match of Rey Mysterio, doing Dominic versus Ray. I feel like if that was the stipulation, it's a little rushed to do that this late in the game. I feel like that would have been brought up a lot sooner. But I mean, we're getting a family affair in the city of brotherly love this year at WrestleMania with Jimmy versus Jay, and now possibly Dom versus Ray. It's going to be a wild ride, but we're going to get these guys' final predictions and thoughts here in just a minute. But before we do, we want to shout out our partner over at SportsWire Radio. Tom and the gang over there do a fantastic job. They are your one-stop shop for all things sports. I'm not going to talk about March Madness because it's done and over for us, and I don't want to talk about it. I will not take questions at this time. But they are covering March Madness. They're covering baseball, wrestling, basically anything that you can think of sports-related. They are talking about it over there. And they want all of us to join in on the conversation about wrestling on Twitter. So make sure you are following them there and use the hashtag #AllWrestlingMatters. So we are very excited about our partnership with them. And we've had it for a while. We're excited about it continuing. But as we transition here, we've been doing this last couple of weeks. It is time for trivia here on Squared Circle Radio. And since Miss Catie is not well-versed in WrestleMania, we are going to let her ask the questions. I have seen some of these. I have not seen all of them. I do not remember any of the answers from these because my memory is not that great. But we are covering WrestleMania 21 through 30. And unlike our normal host, Mr. Chris Belcher, who did very general things, these are very specific to these WrestleManias. So if you've studied up any on WrestleMania 21 through 30, we should do all right. But you can bounce back and forth, so you can start with whoever. You don't have to go in order. Do it however you want to do it. But go ahead.
Probably just gonna go in order.
That's fine.
And I think Andy trying to preface so much just shows that he did cheat, and he'll probably know all the answers to all these questions.
We'll see.
Okay, we'll start with Tyler. Mark Henry faced The Undertaker at WrestleMania 22. In what kind of stipulation match?
Was it a casket match?
Yes, it was a casket match.
Mm.
The only time The Undertaker had one of these types of matches at WrestleMania. Fun fact.
I feel like he would have had more. It's kind of shocking you only have one casket match at Mania.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you would think with Undertaker especially.
All right.
And we're not counting the Boneyard match because that was buried alive. That was not casket. There's a
True.
difference between the two.
Yeah, good observation.
Okay. This one seems specific. At WrestleMania 24, Kane defeated, how do you say his name? This guy.
Chavo Guerrero.
Chavo Guerrero. How long did the match last? Andy, do you want to take a guess?
Oh, it was like choke slam, go home, basically is what it was. 10 seconds.
You're very close, but that's not correct. Tyler, do you want to try?
I'm just going to go 20 seconds.
It was 11 seconds.
Wow.
So you were very close.
Choke slam and go home. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what it was. It's choke slam and go home. Poor Chavo.
Okay. Andy, I'll come back to you again.
Okay.
The last time the Money in the Bank ladder match happened at WrestleMania 26, who won that match?
I believe that was the real American Jack Swagger won that one.
That is correct.
Yeah, I remember
Good
that
job. Okay. Tyler. At WrestleMania 30, Triple H made his big, elaborate entrance flanked by 3 women in masks. All 3 women would become future champions. Who are the 3 women?
Is it Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha? Are those are 3?
You got 2 out of the 3. Andy, do you want to try?
The other one is fan favorite of Chris Belcher's fan favorite, which is Alexa Bliss, I think.
That is correct.
Oh,
it was
gotcha.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
Sasha, and Alexa.
Yeah,
Bliss.
I remember that one.
Okay. Tyler, we'll go you again. In WrestleMania history, only 6 men have won world championship matches in consecutive manias. Hogan,
Yokozuna.
Austin, Triple H, The Undertaker, and John Cena. One of these 6 men have won the world title 3 consecutive times. Who won 3 consecutive times?
Wow, that's a great question. And this is going to be a lucky guess. Undertaker.
It is not Undertaker. Andy, do you think you have it in you?
I know what this is because this was the man who made me hate wrestling for a long time, John Cena, because he won every match ever.
Yes, it was John Cena. Obviously, they got a good reaction out of you.
Oh
It seems like somebody booked that well.
They must have, because Andy, man, I didn't realize all this hate for Cena. Man, this is
No, not anymore. I love Cena now, but just during this
That time
21 through
period.
30 was rough.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time.
Okay. Tyler, at WrestleMania 25, who became the oldest participant in a WrestleMania match?
Wow. The oldest participant in a WrestleMania match at WrestleMania. Boy, this is some good ones. I'm trying to think here.
Pull the Rolodex.
I'm just gonna.
You have it.
Yeah. Is it going to be now the oldest? It's not Ric Flair, is it?
No, it is not Ric Flair.
That's a great guess, though. I mean, it's the oldest.
Yeah.
It's Flair. It's got to be
kicking.
Flair.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
He
Flair
just had his last one
long.
like 77 or something like that.
Yeah.
What WrestleMania is it?
It's WrestleMania 25.
Oh, so it's probably in that Jericho match. It's one of those guys. Ricky Steamboat Dragon.
No, it's not correct. It is Jimmy. I don't know how you say this.
Superfly Snuka.
Yes.
Oh, Snuka.
Jimmy
Wow.
Superfly Snuka. I'm not going to brag, but I knew that one. I don't know how you guys didn't.
No, I would brag. I mean, heck, I would go forget you guys. I knew this one. It's Snuka.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm wearing the popper shirt. Maybe that's why. I didn't
it might be.
answer right.
It might
The
be.
coconut. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Andy. Triple H and The Undertaker were fined in their match at WrestleMania 27 for what spot in the match?
It was the chair shot to the head. This was in the PG era, so
Yes.
they got big trouble for it.
That
Wow.
is correct. It was the chair shot to the head. Alrighty. Tyler, WrestleMania is all about moments and memories. But at WrestleMania 27, how many championship changed hands?
I'm gonna go with 3.
It is not 3. Do you want to take a guess?
1.
It is not 1. The answer is goose egg.
Oh, wow.
0 changes.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
surprised. I would have thought there would have been at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, 27?
Yeah, WrestleMania 27.
Oh, that was Miz Cena. I don't know why I think Cena won that match. He didn't.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna need a lifeline.
Phone a friend.
Yeah.
Phone a
Let me
friend.
phone a friend.
Oh gosh. Okay, we've got 3 more.
Okay.
Andy, what say you? Sheamus defeated Daniel Bryan in how many seconds at WrestleMania 28?
I've 18 seconds. I remember that one vividly.
It is 18
Yeah,
seconds.
that was the whole.
How
It was
do
the
you
whole.
know that?
It was the whole storyline going into WrestleMania 30 with him, and the Yes Movement was him basically the year before getting beat in 18 seconds and being disrespected.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember
Tyler,
that.
did you know that answer? Is that a commonly known thing?
No, I mean Andy acting like his memory faded, but to me, I think it's all a ploy. It's all like, hey, Tyler, my memory's bad, but wait
Yeah.
till you see me in trivia. Yeah.
I'm a trivia shark, apparently.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, he's the one who handed me the questions. I think it's all
Listen,
a cover up that
there are
he
just some
actually
things
knew
you
these
remember
answers.
because they're so bad. They just stick in your
Right.
brain. This was
It's
one of
true.
those.
It's funny. Okay. Tyler, WrestleMania is all about celebrity involvement. But at Mania 28, this celebrity worked a match with 2 broken ribs. Who was the celebrity?
Was it Floyd Mayweather?
It was not.
Oh, that's a good guess. Surely it's not Snooki. Surely it's not Snooki.
Come on, Mr. 18 seconds. You don't remember this one?
I'm just trying to run through who wrestled at WrestleMania celebrity wise. Stephen Amell?
No, that's
Oh.
not correct.
Who was it?
It's Maria
Oh, Menounos.
Menounos.
Oh, I didn't know she did that.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize either. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. This is our last one for all the money.
All the money.
Okay, Andy, I'll give it to you.
No, give it to Tyler.
Okay.
Give it to Tyler.
We'll give it to Tyler.
Give it to Tyler.
Andy knows the answer already. Like I said, he's cheating at all of these.
I would have got them all right if I was cheating at all of them.
You're just playing us. You got to keep it believable. Okay, Tyler. At WrestleMania 29, this superstar made their debut defeating Chris Jericho. Who was it?
Fandango, is that how you say his name?
It was.
Yeah.
That is the answer.
Fandango.
Fandango. I'm a Yankee, so I'd say Fandango, but
No, there's a whole thing. It's Fandango.
Yeah, it's with the accent, but you can blame mine and Andy's southern accent.
Yeah. Well, good job, Tyler, on the last one. You did good on all of them. We did good. We got most of them, I think.
Andy did a great job. Katie, with the questions because they stumped me. That's why I said, okay, who's somebody that really studies tape and remembers? Because I mean, today, literally, when Andy messaged me, I'm like, okay, I'm on it. I'll look up the best moments. I swear I forgot about all of it.
That's how I feel all the time. All right, let's as we kind of wrap up and kind of wind down a little bit, we got a couple other things we're going to talk about, but let's give these final predictions for WrestleMania 40. Again, we were recording this early. I will not be giving my predictions. If you want to know what my predictions are, they will be up on the channel and on the podcast feed next week, as me and Chris are going to do that on Monday, and then me and Katie are getting in the car and driving to Florida that night. But that's for another reason. But we're gonna get these guys' predictions for WrestleMania 40. We're gonna run down the card, just kind of final thoughts, predictions, and let's start with the one that I think is the most coin toss of them all. And that's LA Knight versus AJ Styles. Catie, we'll start with you. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to walk out the winner?
Well, what I would like to happen is LA Knight because I just love the guy. I mean, I'm a novice. He's like newer on the scene. I know AJ's great. He's probably had a great career. He's been in it a while. He's a cool guy. Nothing against AJ, but I hope that LA Knight wins and it just puts him up, like gives him a little boost. I feel like there was a little bit of a lull. He got like all the crowd to just support him. But I feel like he does need that little like boost, And sometimes you can't make that happen just by winning. Sometimes it's organic, but I feel like if he wins, the crowd will just go wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think his original massive push came organically, just out of the blue, out of nowhere. LA Knight caught a lot of steam, got a lot of fire, and kept rolling. Tyler, what do you think's going to happen?
I'm going to have to agree with Catie and go LA Knight. And I'm with her. I like both Knight and Styles, but you're right. He needs something. I feel like he's lost some steam as far as his push, but maybe that was meant to be. And I think the match is going to be great. It's going to be fun. You talked about the outside interference at AJ's residence, just adds to it. So I think it's definitely going to be personal, but I've got LA Knight. He just needs it. And I hate to say it for Styles, but it would, like Catie said, elevate him. And he needs that important victory.
All right, let's look at the next one that I don't know if it's necessarily a coin toss, but I think it's one of the most intriguing matches of WrestleMania 40. That's the first time ever Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. Again, we're recording this ahead of time, but if this is not a brotherly love street fight in Philadelphia, they are doing something wrong. Tyler, what do you think is going to happen? Twofold question. One, does the bloodline get involved at all? And two, who walks out with the win?
Part of me hopes the bloodline doesn't get involved in this one. I just like to see them just fight it out. Because to me, you can overdo it a little bit with the bloodline. I think just you've got enough there between these two. It's another tough one because I like Jey, but I feel like, man, what if Jimmy gets the victory? But then another side of it makes this prediction even harder. Well, Jey still could use it. He's main eventing Jey Uso, so it would help both of them. They would benefit. But I'm going to have to play devil's advocate and go with Jimmy. I'm going to have to go the villainous side, believe it or not.
I like it. Catie, what do you think?
To answer, will the bloodline get involved? I think absolutely. Because even though I'm a novice, I can tell that the bloodline likes to interfere on every match that happens. So I think they will get involved. I think that maybe Jey will get a little bit of a beat down, but maybe that elevates him more, So I think that Jimmy's going to win.
You think Jimmy's going to win?
Yeah, I think by interference.
I like it. I like the mindset. I like where you guys are at. Let's talk about some championship gold that is going to be on the line, or in this case, suspended above the ring, the 6-pack tag team championship match, ladder match. Two teams have yet to be decided as of recording. So if you want to give those, you can. If you want to give a surprise pick, you can. But right now it's Judgment Day defending against DIY, Awesome Truth, New Day. The winner of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, I think, is the other one. I don't know who the other one is supposed to be. Catie, who do you think walks away as the undisputed tag team champions?
Well, I don't really have a dog in the fight. There's a lot of people in it. I'm going to pull something that Andy talked to me about.
Oh, you're going to take my pick. Wow.
I'm going to take it. I think that maybe they have two winners and that they do split the titles, because that was an excellent idea that you had. Who the two people are, I don't know. I kind of don't care because it's a tag match. Like, I don't really pay attention to the tags and the storylines and stuff like that. I think it could be a title change because, I don't know, maybe this begins an unraveling of the Judgment Day. Maybe. Who knows?
You also got to remember that Damian Priest still has the Money in the Bank briefcase. Yeah. He's still holding on to that thing for forever. Correct. So that could still come involved. Hopefully it doesn't, but it still could come involved. Tyler, what do you think?
Hey, the two tag team champion scenario is a good one. I feel like Damian Priest, Finn Balor have been great as tag team champions, but I do feel like you said, Damian Priest is a Money in the Bank winner. I feel like Rhea eventually he's going to have to break apart some of these people that are a part of us, even a successful faction, as in Judgment Day. I like DIY as a sleeper. I'm not saying they're going to win it. Well, maybe I am a little bit, but it depends on who the other teams are. I'm conflicted. That's what's great, though.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't always know, but it's just assumption. DIY, like, hey, I wouldn't mind Awesome Truth. The Awesome Truth with Miz and R-Truth. Think about the comedic elements, but you can still keep it serious too.
That'd
If
be
those
great.
guys won, and hey, if the is it the Creed brothers? Now they lost, but I would have
They
loved to
did.
have seen them. But I
Yeah.
know DIY had to be in it, so they had to
Yeah.
defeat them. I think in the future, even next year, let's get them involved because I love those guys.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Creed Brothers
yeah, go
DIY
ahead.
main event next, or not main event, but for the tag titles next year at Mania is a must. I feel like that would be fantastic.
Yeah, start booking it now. Let's phone Triple H. Hey, please do this. No,
Yes.
he's like, okay, I'm hanging up. Anyways, but yeah, it's hard because I don't know the teams. Do you all really think? Because nothing against AEW, because we're all fair to all the promotions, but do you think the Hardys would actually surprise everybody? That's
That
what I'm wondering. It's a ladder match, and
that
now the contract's up.
that was my next question. And it's in Philly, and they both have a lot of ties to that city and ECW in some ways, and a lot of different things. That was going to be my next question. Was I think they're going to leave a spot open for this as a surprise. If you had to pick a surprise, I already know what Chris said. Chris said a couple weeks ago with the Hardy Boys. If you had to pick a surprise, who do you think that would be? Were you going with the Hardy Boys?
The Hardys would be up there. I'm trying to think of who all's the free agents though, too, to kind of see who they could pick. That's what makes it a little tough as well, because you're trying to see, well, who's still under contract? You've got Impact. Is there a team from Japan? Is there somebody that's who knows with Regal back in the fold, the way he scouts and the whole
Right.
process. I mean, he could pull out anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to stick with the Hardys, and well, unless it could be Team 3D. They're in
That's what I was
Philadelphia.
thinking. That's what I
That was
thinking.
another one. Even a blind squirrel, because Heyman's getting inducted, so that would
is.
make a lot of sense. It would be cool. And you've
Yeah.
had ECW originals on a Mania before, and they've won. Why not do it here?
Yeah. I that was mine. I don't know how much Devon could do with some of his health stuff in the past, but you could absolutely throw Bubba out there and just let him do his thing for a little while.
Yeah.
I think that would be fantastic. Let's talk about another championship match. The United States Championship is on the line in a triple threat match. Logan Paul is defending against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Tyler, it seems like a somewhat of a situation where Logan Paul is in this to retain, but you can never count out Randy Orton to win a title at WrestleMania.
You can never count out the Viper, the way his expressions, the body language. That's why he is one of the best. I always loved Randy Orton and Kevin Owens as well. No offense to KO, I just don't know that he's going to win the U.S. title. Here's what could happen if Kevin Owens and Randy Orton get into it, or Logan Paul, or say one of the opponents get into it to distract themselves and take their eyes off the ball enough for maybe an RKO, a stunner, or Logan Paul to knock them out. Or do you think we're going to get some goofy interference from some of the Prime guys, from
Probably.
the Impulsive podcast? Randy RKO and the guy, part of me was perfect on the Prime symbol from SmackDown a couple weeks ago. But my heart wants Orton, if I'm going to be honest. I want to see Orton. Nothing against Paul. He's done great. But Randy Orton, I'd love to see him carry that United States title, to see with this recent return. And speaking of jacked and looking bigger than ever, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that diet plan? I hate to keep going back to it, but I'm like, hey, envision a wrestler.
Half
You
that
got
good
it.
at 47 or however old he is. I hope
Yeah,
me
me too.
See, he looks
I
great.
would probably get more dates. I'll tell you that.
Katie, what do you think? You're a big Logan Paul fan.
At first I was thinking anybody but Logan Paul, but he's very entertaining. And I hate to admit it, but he's like just a natural, it feels like. So I think it could be very possible that he retains, but I think maybe there would be some interference in it. That does kind of not to the extent of the bloodline, but it does feel like that's the trend for him is interference.
Mhm.
So either, by distraction, like Tyler said, where the guys are just getting too distracted with each other and kind of taking themselves out of the match by getting too focused on one guy. I think maybe Logan takes advantage of that and retains.
I like it. Now let's talk about in my opinion, I know Chris Belcher does not agree with this, but he's not on this week, so I can say this. The greatest intercontinental champion of all time, Gunther, is defending against Sami Zayn at WrestleMania with a possibility of still sneaking Chad Gable into this thing. He still could get added to it. Catie, what do you think? Do you think Gunther is going to retain? Do you think the reign of Gunther comes to an end? What do you think happens?
Feel like this title makes him really strong. Like he's just got a good thing going with it. I think that maybe he retains too. I know I'm like on the retain track, but I think he would. I mean, I don't know Sammy too much. I know he had the whole thing with the bloodline and everything, but to me he doesn't seem like a title holder. Gunther, he seems like a title holder. Like he's got that like chip on his shoulder. Like he's just holds it with authority, So I think maybe he retains.
Tyler, what do you think?
First of all, I just want to say I love how you guys know how to actually pronunciate his name, as I butcher it all the time, Gunther. But I'm with you. He's impressive, and I like long title reigns. That's why I kind of was for Roman Reigns. I know Andy's going to wish he can climb across the screen and choke me out because last year I actually was for the Reigns retaining the title. And I've got to go with Catie. I think Gunther needs to retain. But if Gable does get inserted, it's going to open up some possibilities. Maybe they take it off of him because I like Chad Gable. I love the promos. And he's able to kind of get away from the comedic side. Nothing wrong with it. But we're seeing more of that Olympian come out in his matches. And Sami Zayn, I love Sami Zayn, but I don't see him needing to beat Gunther because he's already had a moment last year. It's not going to hurt him if he loses this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people get Kurt Angle vibes from Chad Gable. They just got to give him the push to get to that point. I think he could absolutely get there. Very interesting stuff that could happen with that match. Let's talk about the Women's World Championship on the line. Rhea Ripley defending against Becky Lynch. Tyler, you said that you had an interesting pick for this one, or a pick that I don't think a lot of people would see coming. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I don't know if they want to see it coming. I'm actually going to be on Rhea. I think she's going to retain. Nothing against Becky Lynch. I think this is the kind of stuff that Rhea doesn't need elevating. She's been the face of the brand of WWE, but you've got a star like Becky Lynch, with all due respect, to get a victory over her like Charlotte before you start building up where she's getting these big monumental victories at like WrestleManias, at these premium live events on a Raw or SmackDown over some top tier talent, including herself. So I think that's why it's important maybe for her to retain, but I would not be mad if Becky won the match. And here's something that's kind of why I said interesting. And I don't know that it would make sense. You all would probably scratch your heads, but Liv Morgan's had this issue. I don't want to see a lot of interference, but I wonder if, even though she's on this Rhea revenge tour, she's had her issues with Becky. She could cost Becky or Rhea the match. And that could be, I don't want her to ruin it, but maybe she even confronts them afterwards. Yeah. I just think Liv, maybe she's deserving to have a moment. Don't steal from the match, but maybe you could tie in something, even on the Raw after. I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Catie, what do you think?
Rhea, she did just have a title match in that live event in Australia, right? Mm-hmm. And she against retained Nia. There. Mm-hmm. I think maybe she does retain, but I think maybe she gets a little fear. I think Becky maybe gives her a good challenge. Like she puts her on the edge a little to where maybe Rhea feels like she needs to prove herself now. Like she might keep it, but Becky might make Rhea nervous, I think.
I like it. I dig it. Let's talk about the other one, the women's WWE Women's Championship. Io Sky defending against Bayley. I don't really know what to expect from this one. I don't know where it's going to head. But Catie, what do you think is going to happen between these two?
Please give it to Bayley. I like it. I mean, for as much as we talked about her kind of getting in the shadow, I feel like give it to her. Make it a real good match. And like Don't have damage control come out or anything. Like, even if they did come out, sure, put interference, but have Bailey come out on top. I think that'd be fun to see.
Yeah. Tyler?
I've got to go with Bailey. I think this is her moment, and like Katie was saying, have interference, but maybe you even up the odds. I like what Andy said because they're telling of Bianca and Jade Cargill's debuting. Maybe that's the backup that Bailey needs against damage control, but you still need a fourth member, so that would make it hard. But I think Jade and Bianca could make up for another member, to be honest.
Yeah.
So they would be okay. I think they would be fine. But either way, interference or not, give it to Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we're at the sections that are going to be really interesting to talk about because they kind of depend on each other. We're not going to talk about the tag match first. We're going to talk about the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Seth freaking Rollins defending night 2 against Drew McIntyre. Possibility of CM Punk getting involved. Possibility of him being a special guest referee. He's going to be in Chicago. He was in Chicago last night. If you're watching this on Tuesday, so I don't know what happened. Again, who knows? If he's in, great. If not, we'll talk about it later. But do you think? What do you think happens in this match? Do you think Punk gets involved at all? Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I think it would be very fascinating if Punk did get involved. He wouldn't have to do much to interfere, and like we've stated before, when you guys had me on, and I'm sure Katie, following it, knows that, hey, Rollins or Drew, none of them have any love lost for CM Punk. So you can see him actually targeting either guy or costing them to make it a wacky finish. But you would need somebody to walk out a champion. So I would think that CM Punk would target, Drew McIntyre. But I'm thinking, where's Sheamus been lately? That's kind of been in the back of my mind. Does he come out, though, and he could help Drew McIntyre too, or something could happen. So it makes you wonder. To me, you're going to have one of those wild finishes, as long as we don't have them too much through the night. But this one works from the storyline perspective, at least for me. I don't know.
It would also be interesting if Drew did win the next night. Sheamus coming back to confront those two going at it. I think that would be really interesting. Katie, you don't know the history a lot between Punk and Rollins and Drew. You just know the good stuff about Punk because that's all I talk about is the good stuff about Punk. Do you think he gets involved at all? And who do you think wins or walks out as the World Heavyweight Champion?
Sure. I think he gets involved. I mean, it was a huge pop when he came back. I did watch that live with you. Andy was literally jumping up and down. He was like, he's back. He's back. He's just like jumping in the living room. So for him to get injured after returning, that's a letdown. So sure, bring him in on WrestleMania, boost him up a little, get people excited again. I think following the drama after he returned with Seth, for me, like the novice, I would really love to see him interfere with Seth and see those two now start building some tension and some fire again, having Punk like return from injury. I think that would be fun. So I think that Drew would take the title.
That would be very interesting. I also like the idea of him being a special guest referee and just having to count the 3 count for either one of those guys and reluctantly be like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. I think that
it would be perfect.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the 2 biggest matches possibly of all time in WrestleMania history. There's a lot of WrestleMania matches that are massive. Absolutely the biggest tag match of all time at WrestleMania. The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. If Rock and Roman win, the night 2 main event is bloodline rules. Anything goes, interference galore. It's Roman Reigns match in heaven. If Cody and Seth win, the bloodline is banned from WrestleMania night 2. A lot of things can happen. A lot of intrigue in this one. I'm going to start with Katie first on this one just to get her opinion. What happens? Who walks out the winner? And what stipulation are we going to get for night 2? Don't go into night 2 just yet, but talk about what you think is going to happen in night 1.
I'll be unswayed because I won't hear your guys' opinion. I really feel on the fence. I feel like it could go either way. I mean, it could be that Roman and Rock win, and then that gives bloodline rules, and we'll see the same story over again where Bloodline gets to interfere, but it'll be like a real like bang. Like, I mean, what is Bloodline rules? Who knows? You know, anything goes. Who knows what we'll see? So maybe it could make for a good show if they do win. But then again, let Cody win and have that one-on-one, you know? So I really feel like it could go either way. I don't know how to make a decision.
I need a pick, though.
I think what I would like to see is Cody and Seth win.
Okay.
Because I want Cody to go into night 2 being strong and like having that one-on-one, that undivided, just go for it.
Roman has to do it by himself if he's going to do it. I like
Yeah.
it. Tyler, what do you think? Biggest main event, biggest tag match of WrestleMania history. Who you got?
I like the idea of Cody and Seth going over. I'm a little bit conflicted myself, or on the fence was a good way to put it, because it would make it fair for Roman and Cody. But you said not to go into night 2, so I may have to reserve some things, because we heard some news. I'm sure you've been following that makes this a little interesting if it happens, unless it's a Raw after it. So that's why I'm just going to say I want Rock and Roman to win, but I've got a reason behind it, because night 2, I've got something that made me think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and jump into night 2. We'll go with his scenario first. Rock, Roman wins. Bloodline rules. Cody versus Roman. Anything goes. Anything happens. Tyler, in that scenario, what do you see happening?
Well, what I see happening, or what would be cool, and this is kind of fantasy booking too. I can see where Jay could come out and help Cody, and I can also see what if MJF comes out and helps Cody. Because now I don't know, because this may be speculation, but they removed this thing if you believe the article.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, but he could also turn on Cody though. So that's kind of a wild card. But I'm thinking though, what if you bring him in as kind of a baby face at first, and then he could either screw Cody or Roman and go after Rock, and Roman still have a campaign. I don't know. That's why I picked Rock and Roman, because I wanted to see if you stack the deck, what if it allows some surprises where it helps Cody win the title. He still can finish the story.
I mean, that's interesting in the fact that when we talk about bloodline rules, we're only thinking of the people that are going to get involved to help Roman, and not necessarily the people that can get involved to help Cody win as well. Let's go with your scenario, Katie. Cody and Seth win night 1. How do you see night 2 shaping out with Cody and Roman?
Oh, well, now after hearing what Tyler has to say, I kind of do want Roman and Rock to win on night 1, because I feel like stacking the odds against Cody and he still win, that would be great.
Yeah.
However, in either situation, if he goes in night 2 and loses, I feel like that will be just the biggest mistake. Like, it was devastating last year. I mean, from a novice, not too devastating. It was disappointing, but like devastating for you. And so I feel like to pull that over again would be awful. No matter what the situation, no matter what happens night 1, I think either way, Cody has to come out and win it. It's also a waste because he won the Rumble twice in the row. Yeah. So it would also be a waste of that. So I think that Cody comes out, he wins.
Either way, you think Cody Rhodes wins?
Yes. I would love to see some surprises, like Tyler said. Gosh, that just blew my mind. That'd be so fun.
Me too. Well, I got lucky because I didn't know MJF they had removed. And I love AEW too, but I'm thinking this makes sense because Cody's been the mentor to MJF, and they had that great match where MJF was more the villain, of course.
Yeah.
But imagine the promos, him and Punk and Cody and Roman and The Rock. My goodness, The Rock meeting MJF. And Cena, too. Cena's even complimenting. They met during the Von Erich movie, and he's like, dude, I was impressed with this guy. I didn't know what to expect after seeing him on TV, but he was cool. So to me, that's kind of telling me we could see it, because with all those shoots on Tony Khan, nothing against him, even the storyline, MJF said, hey, I'm going to be a free agent soon, so you better be paying me whatever. I'm going to be, so, hey, this could happen.
The bidding war of 2024 has officially started, it seems like. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. But that's their thoughts on WrestleMania 40. Again, not a complete card, just the card that we have at the moment. If you want mine and Chris's predictions, you're going to have to wait until next week. We're going to talk about it all then. We're going to give our thoughts, our opinions, go into details about a lot of stuff. disagree on a lot of stuff, I'm sure, as well, which is going to be a lot of fun. However, I couldn't do this show without taking the opportunity while Chris is gone to talk a little AEW, because we don't talk about it a lot, but we're going to talk about just a little bit because, Tyler, you texted me just a little bit ago that you got to sit down and watch Okada versus Eddie Kingston. I wanted to get your take as to what you think of the Okada heel turn, being a part of the Elite, his new name going as Kazuchika Okada Jackson, which I absolutely love that that's part of his name now. What do you think about the whole turn of him coming in, being a heel immediately, and taking the title off of Eddie?
I think it's fine. I thought Eddie and Okada had a great match. I like Eddie Kingston. I like the realism. I could care less. I know he looks like the everyday man, but that's the appeal for us. I mean, hey, you don't have to have this physique to be good in the ring, to talk, and that's why I appreciate Eddie Kingston, the authenticity. And Okada, we all know his accolades going to Japan. I wasn't sure about the heel turn. I mean, I get they were trying to surprise everybody. It was big business, Boston. You had Monet debuting as well. Everybody kind of anticipated it. Okada's, I love his facial expressions as a heel. I'll say that. During the match where he's laughing after the DDT, I believe it was on Eddie, he's just laughing over him like, take that, hey, I'm going to stand over you and make it. I mean, just little nuances like that. So I thought overall the match is good. It's growing on me. Okada as a heel, I like him as a babyface, but I feel like it'll make him an even better babyface if he's actually starts out as a heel. I mean, it's one way to look at it.
Yeah, and I think we're setting up one of the main events of All In when Kenny gets back, and a babyface Kenny Omega versus a heel Okada. All In.
Oh my gosh!
Just sign me up for that. Ospreay on that same show. That might be one of the greatest cards of all time. We'll talk about it as it gets closer, I'm sure, but it's going to be fantastic to dive into that and talk about that. But I think that's going to do it. Remember to make sure that you are following us on all social media. Our handle is SQ_radio. Make sure you do that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're never calling it X because that's a stupid name for a social media platform. I can't either. So make sure that you follow us there. Go over to our fantasy booking show, the MCWF, moderated by Tyler Peters. Mayhem versus Warzone. Week 9 is coming up this week. We are very close. We are inching closer and closer to the pay-per-views coming up. So make sure that you check that out. It's a great show. A lot of fun we have doing that. A lot of different creative ideas, modern day rosters, a little AEW, WWE, New Japan, TNA even. We get a little Impact in there as well. So definitely want to check that out and join us for that. Next week is going to be a very interesting week here as it is WrestleMania week. If you have been following us for any time, WrestleMania week is our biggest week of the year. We talk about it all the time, how for us wrestling fans, WrestleMania is our Christmas. So next week is the week of Christmas. And because of that, we are releasing an episode a day next week. We already have a lot recorded. We have a great trivia episode with Tyler as we get closer to it. The MCWF is going to be next week as well as a very, very special interview on Monday you do not want to miss. Chris has already teased a little bit. You definitely want to check it out. It is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. So make sure next week you turn on the notification bell on our podcast and on our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our videos. And make sure you join us for WrestleMania week. It is going to be a fantastic week. Tyler, why don't you go ahead and plug your podcast that you're a part of and all the things that you're working on. Let the people know where they can follow you.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, they can follow me at Dustin Tyler 86 as you see here on Twitter. I can't call it X either, but it's Tyler's Takedowns is a show on SJP World Media. I talk a little modern and old school. I'm going to eventually have all these people from Square and Circle Radio. Andy, Catie, you're welcome. And Chris on because they deserve it. I owe them, and I need to get some more guests on there. I'm not desperate because these are knowledgeable people. They're good people. So don't get me wrong. And then I run in the corner with Benny. He talks a lot of WWE, a great guy when he's able to record. And WrestleManiacs, the take on Hulkamaniacs, whether you like Hogan or not, with Waylon Myers. It's pretty cool. We talk WWE. And, hey, of course, Squared Circle Radio, man. I mean, check out what these guys are doing. The MCWF, I've been lucky enough to see their creative process, and I've been impressed. I'm like, Okay, let me steal some of these ideas. These are good. Wait a minute, and I'm moderating. They named the Tyler Driver, so they've won me over even more. I mean, they're using it in the matches, and I'm like, okay, that needs to finish him. I hope it's 1, 2, 3 after that move. So I'm just doing a lot of good stuff, man. I love these guys. They're putting up with me. Thank God they hadn't fired me yet. I'm still moderating, but it's been a lot of fun. It has.
We're like Tony Khan. It takes a lot for us to fire someone. So
yeah, you're able to.
I haven't feared for my life.
Yeah.
I haven't feared for my life yet. So we're good there. Make sure that you follow Chris at Chris Belcher 24 on all social media platforms. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy_SQR. Yeah. Make sure you follow us there. We're going to be live tweeting all throughout WrestleMania weekend and the build to WrestleMania as well. So definitely follow us there. Go over Sportswire Radio, Tom and the gang over there. Go check them out. They do a fantastic job. And don't forget to go cop some merch at ProWrestlingTees.com/Squared Circle Radio. Go buy t-shirts over there. We have an MCWF shirt, a Squared Circle Radio shirt. We are in the works of coming up with some new t-shirt ideas as well. So definitely go check that out. Go follow it. Go buy all the stuff because we want your money. So go buy it because we need it. But we are looking.
Act like you're Mercedes Monet. There you go. You're a CEO.
Yeah, we're the CEO. So you got to do that. But I think that's going to do it for this episode. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this week's episode. Any final thoughts before we call the show?
I just want to say you're very welcome. And hey, I had a blast. Thank you all for inviting me. I know it's a challenge. They're like, oh my God, Tyler's coming on. We got to prepare. But who knows what you're going to get with this guy. But no, seriously, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we can laugh and pick apart each other. But seriously, some great perspectives from Catie. I'm impressed, man. I mean, not to watch wrestling all the time. I'm like, I'm going to have to take notes, man. This is good stuff. I'm just going to have to steal people's ideas. This is great. But seriously, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, Andy, a guy, if you listen to trivia, I can't remember how. Oh, that's what happened. There you go. See, I know how it is now. But it's fun, man. Thank you all.
Thank you for joining us, Catie. Thank you so much for joining us. We like to have you on once or twice a year to get your perspective. Luckily, this time I'm not throwing up everywhere in the car as we're trying to record because that was a rough night after SummerSlam. But thank you for joining us. We had a fun time with you.
Of course, it was so much fun.
Well, make sure you're following us on all social media platforms. WrestleMania is right around the corner. We are so excited for it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And tune in next week for more Squared Circle Radio.